Hey guys, it's Tuesday afternoon and we have another Speedway Chat show. Tonight is going to be a wicked show. We've got Phil Morris on talking everything about Speedway Grand Prix, Speedway of Nations and endless tyres and all sorts of random things. We also have Mark Lemon coming on later on at the end, who has 2 free access passes for Thursday night's meeting at Bellevue. So we will go straight into it. Here we go.
And we're live on
Wilbur.
sunny Tuesday afternoon-ish.
How are you, Wilbur? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful. Had a bit of a stressful day, but it's all good now.
Likewise. Go ahead.
You've been at school all morning, haven't you?
I just got off of school about, 15 minutes ago, and then, all right, Speedway Chat shows. I had to reorganize my room, and then we're good to go.
Good. So we've got Phil Morris on tonight. I think it's going to be a good show. I think he's got a lot to say. There's a lot's happened this year, with all the COVID stuff, the tyres, the weather with the Speedway of Nations, and
a lot of controversy.
There's lots of controversy. We also have a special guest who is going to ask a couple of questions for Phil. But do you want to give him the intro that he deserves?
Yes, introducing the 2020 race director for the Speedway of Nations and the Speedway GP, Phil Morris.
Hi, Phil.
How you going, guys? All good?
All good.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Good. So, are you happy it's all over?
Yeah, it's a very condensed season, and it was a tough one from start to finish. During tough times, as you know, with COVID, and but we managed to get to where we needed. We got a good Grand Prix series, and we got the Speedway Nations to a finish. And yeah, I'm pretty glad to be home. Actually, I spent sort of 6 weeks in Europe, in Poland and Czech Republic. I stayed out there, so yeah, I'm glad to be home. And I know,
time?
Yeah, pretty much. I think from Gorzów. I came home after Wrocław, but from Gorzów onwards was in Europe.
What's going on, Will? I'm getting messages from you here from somewhere else.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Right, sorry. So, sorry about that, Phil. I was listening.
That's okay.
We do have the Sydney Lip in the background. I'll bring in Mr. Charles. Here he is. He wants to come on and ask a few questions because of how things were left before. With we didn't know what was going to happen with the Grand Prix series. Charles, he sent me a message earlier saying, "Is there any chance that we can I can come on and just and finish where we left off?" So, Charles, I'm going to hand it over to you. Go for it.
Jerry. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Wilbur. You look amazing.
Thank you.
Jerry did say no, but I've hacked my way into the account just to get some airtime. Hey, listen, Phil, last time we spoke to our fantastic viewers and we had you on, there was no Grand Prix, there was no Speedway of Nations, there was no controversy. But before we get into a little bit of that, congratulations on bringing us what I believe was a fantastic format and experience of SGPs this year, given the restraints around the worldwide pandemic. So above anything else, mate, I think you can hold your head extremely high in bringing the fans a fantastic down to the last heat decider for a world championship, mate. Congratulations, firstly.
Yeah, thanks for that. It was very tough. And as you can imagine, as you said, when we last spoke, we didn't know what was going to happen. And then we managed to get a season off, which was really good considering. And, you obviously massive thanks to Poland and PZM, because they led the charge with setting the league up there. And most of our sort of meetings were obviously in Poland. So big thanks to them as well along the line. I think they need to be recognised, for doing what they did to get their league started. And we rolled with that a little bit and used a bit of what they had. So we got it.
And now you're back to lockdownville in sunny Wales.
Yeah,
from Friday.
Like yourself, from Friday we've got a 17-day lockdown. So and I'm sure it'll continue worse after that. So yeah, I've managed to have lockdown in Poland. I come back and see the family. So yeah, back to reality.
Look, for me, Phil, I just from your point of view, back-to-back Grand Prix, the first time, something like it's been tried. For you as race director, how was the logistics? How was the paperwork? How was, the organisation to go into one Grand Prix, but let alone back-to-backs? How did you find it, and what did you learn about yourself?
Definitely a tougher weekend. When you have the practice or qualifying on the Friday normally, it's very much more laid back, not as intense, and you feel as if you can relax a little bit more apart from the hour of work almost. But with the Grand Prix back-to-back, it was really quite a physical weekend and very, very difficult. But again, it was something we had to do. And, the riders and teams couldn't get in the pits until sort of last minute. It was all left very quick, almost like a league match if you can. There was still a lot of work had to be done, obviously, before everything was organised. And I think it worked quite well. Statistically, the second day got better at every Grand Prix. So, it's always good, and it shows you learn things and can do a little bit different with the tracks maybe, and work a little bit different. So, yeah, it's good to see that, you can always learn, and I'm sure everybody's in the same boat, the riders. If you have a good day the first day, it doesn't mean you'll have a good day the second day, or vice versa. You can have a bad first day and a cracking second day. So it did cause, I've had positive feedback from it, from people that spoke to me saying it was, 2 days good that they could chill out and they knew they had a Friday and Saturday show.
Yeah. So look, no one knows what's going to happen. Have you guys learned anything from this year, what you could potentially change, if anything, if the same scenario comes around next year?
Obviously, I know as much as you, as much as anyone, as the World Health Authority. They don't even know what's going to happen. So at the moment, we've planned a normal season like we would have had this year before the pandemic. And depending on what happens, we'll adjust it accordingly. But we've showed that we can do something that's not, maybe no crowds. We could do it if we needed to. It's not ideal for lots of reasons. But if we have to do it, there's ways around doing it around the pandemic. But let's hope by this time next year, or way before the start of next season, perhaps we can get back to normal, maybe.
I'm going to pitch in here 1 second.
Yeah, 100%.
For you as the race director for next year as well, are you trying to plan an A and B season? Like plan A is, trying to have this crowd, or maybe a 50% crowd like we had, or whatever it was, 25% like this year. Or are you trying to just advance everything so it's all going to be online, or are you planning two sides, or what's like the deal right now?
So at the moment, plan A is just let's plan as if normal, plan the fixture list. Obviously I can't give you this, but yeah, we're all set for next season. I think half the season are already announced anyway, but yeah.
After though, can't you?
No, this is tough because obviously you've got BSI with the promoters, you've got the tracks which are also the joint promoters, you obviously have to give them respect for an event, And this is between BSI and the clubs. Maybe they've got a deal where there's 100% crowd. They may have a deal where there's 50%. They may have a deal where there's 25%. But this is, like you say, what Wilbur said, then that's a plan B, that we have to go to lower crowds. And if there's trouble with moving around countries like there has been, then we have to, the reality is all the riders will be based in Poland, more than likely. Then, let's not beat about the bush. They saved the season this year, Poland. And, they have to have a lot of respect for what they've done for the sport, getting in with the government and agreeing crowds to be allowed. Because, as you know, 3 of us here from Britain, and I think America would be the same. There's not so many crowds at many events now. It's sort of is what it is. You're racing or playing or riding without fans.
It looks like you've taken a plan B yourself there, Phil, and you're farming bees by the looks of things behind you. Is that a bee box?
That's right. Yeah, the little bees in the boxes. Yeah. That's IKEA, mate. IKEA. It's the Swedish department.
Hey. Whoa there. You can talk bad about IKEA all you want, but not in front of me. Not in front of me.
Do you not like IKEA?
Oh, I love IKEA. That's what I'm saying. You can't talk bad about IKEA in front of me.
Okay.
I think he's sponsored. Phil, this year we've seen an incredible amount of start line infringements. It was massive talking, caused massive delays because Grand Prix riders want to stop at the pit gate. They want to check change, do tyres, refuel everything. Is there discussions, and if you're allowed to tell us, is there discussions to reevaluate World Championship starting procedures and warning systems?
100%. That's one of the big topics when the commission sits down and talks about things. It's not good. One of the most talked about negative points I get pushed towards. So from my perspective, as soon as the referee's made a decision on what he's going to warn, we put 2 minutes straight on. We're looking at maybe changing that to 1 minute next year. Just something small, just to say instead of 2 minutes, it'll only have 1 minute, which is a small thing, but it shows we're doing something in the right direction. But again, it needs a referee to look at replays before. It's easy to say send them round to the start, but if the ref needs 6 replays to find out what he needs, then the rider's going to be ready and he's not made his decision. So it's not easy to make, I actually did it for the first time in the Speedway of Nations. I just sent them round, I think, at one point. But there's still 2 minutes. So there's sort of a long time. It feels like quick, but it's a long time.
Look, I think the big gripe, and I know some viewers, some viewers have been talking about it, Phil. The gripe for me is when it's wrong, when it's blatantly wrong. Either we've seen it with Leon Madsen, we see it with Doyley, we've seen it at the Speedway of Nations around body movement. I don't care what anyone says. Smarsley can heat number 1, hook, line, and sink Robert Lambert into moving with his elbow. They're trained pros. But when the referee clearly gets it wrong and then that rider has a follow-up bad rerun, you can understand the frustrations around starting. And is it time for Speedway to move to technology, and that there's technology there that will see whether the bike moved within that tolerance, yeah?
It's one of them things. I think all 4 of us here are in a Speedway world, and sometimes you get very tunnel vision. I watch all other sports, Formula 1, MotoGP, motocross. Not one of them guys is 30, 40, 50 people on a start line, 0 movement. Yeah. So let's take it back, not blame the referees.
Come on, Phil, got to blame someone.
No. I'm just saying, if somebody, you watch an F1, MotoGP, motocross Grand Prix, 40 riders, if one of them moves forward, they're stuck because the gate drops on their wheel. So sometimes I feel it can be, I'm not saying it's a rider's fault, because I understand the fact of, in a zone, I've been a rider, I know, it's easy to move or jump. But I feel as if there's too much anticipation instead of reaction. And that's two big words.
Yeah.
You anticipate something, you're guessing in a sense. You feel you know it's going to happen. When you react to it, and I don't know if you're up on athletics, but, 100-meter final.
Look at it, Phil. Of course I am.
100-meter final. If anybody moves within 0.1 second of that gun, they're disqualified.
Yeah.
So even if the gun goes and they move in 0.09 seconds, so less than 1/10 of a second, they're out because the brain cannot react. But when you see someone dropping the clutch the same time as the tape's going up, the reality is they've guessed.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. They've anticipated that instead of reacting to it. So I don't know what we can do to change it. There's obviously the option of, if they don't touch the tape, just let it all go. Doesn't matter. That's option one.
Yeah.
If people wanted that.
Phil, there's no doubt at the Speedway Nations, which I'll let the other boys talk about because I'm Australian and I'm still dirty about it. But Jason Crump on the show last week, which I watched from behind the scenes and really thoroughly that word.
Thoroughly enjoyed.
Enjoyed the show. And Jason gave an insight and he really stripped it back to basics. And what sprang to mind when he said to Chris Holder in 2012, when the tapes go up, you let the clutch go. I was yelling at Doyley, because Doyley's got a pattern of, he's good enough not to. But whilst they get away with it, and whilst there's warnings, I think Doyley's a better rider after he gets a warning. If you go back and look at the Grand Prix. Yeah. But look, it's one of those raw sports that I do, and my opinion is that there needs to be something that can be consistently moderated moving forward, as opposed to take the human element out of it. And that's where I said about timing and stuff, Phil. And, there is a tolerance, and Valtteri Bottas jumps the start regularly, but it's within a tolerance. So,
but if they jump the start, they've lost the race as well, pretty much. They have a drive-through or... No.
So Valtteri jumped it about 5 weeks ago. His car moved, but then he stopped and then went again.
Okay, so he didn't break the beam.
Exactly. So, look, I think we do need something like that. It's World Championship stuff. Australia, in my book, won round one of the Speedway Nations because of alphabetical order. Day two is a different story, though, Phil. If America was in it, they would have been number one after night one, but they pulled out the Yanks, eh? Look, I'll let you guys crack on with the show. It was good to pop on, Phil. Mate, heads up, mate. Yeah, you had your hands, Phil. I'll let the boys discuss the tyres because I'll get carried away and the show will just be about me. But I'll sit back and listen to what you got to say about the tyres and what you can say because, look, in my opinion, rounds 1 and 2 should have been abolished after the ruling halfway through, and we would have seen a different world champion, I think. But look, this is it. It's my opinion. But bring on Speedway 2021, hopefully, and on Thursday. But I might jump back on if Lemo's on a bit later, Jez.
I was going to say you stay behind because we've got something we want to talk about for Thursday.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
If you stay behind, we'll get you back on in a little while.
Oh, and someone asked me to give a shout out today. He lives in Newport, Adele Edwards. So hi, Adele. She's just a massive fan of mine. So anyway, moving on.
Another one. Enjoy the last lockdown.
They're only human, Phil.
Yeah. They're not blind, eh?
Yeah, look at this. Hey, why wouldn't you? Hey, Phil?
Never changes, does it?
Hey, you just keep looking after those bumblebees in the background in those little confined boxes, Phil, and I'll come to Confellenfeck and give you a visit in lockdown. I'll break the rules.
Not Confellenfeck no more. That's changed,
Where are you now?
I'm Cumbran.
Well, that's not far.
You said that last time.
Yeah,
You weren't listening.
In one ear, out the other. All right, all the best. Cheers for having a chat with me, Phil. See you, Wills. I'll see you, Jez. I'll come back on at the end.
So, wow. Well, we got rid of him for a little while. No, so Charles, he makes a good point. Where does that stand with the tyres? If, for instance, Magic or Artem, who was both on the Analyst tyres in rounds 1 and 2, went on to win the championship on, a few points. it then doesn't make it fair on the riders that didn't have that option to ride that tyre. And I know Paul Bellamy said everyone had that option, but say, for instance, Woofy, who's on a Mitas tyre through sponsorship, doesn't have that option. You know, where would that have gone then if it did get down to that?
Totally respect that something's a situation has come up to think about this. But if we was to check all 16 riders, they had a 500cc engine, could we do that? No. There's a trust element that you trust the rider has a 500cc. You know, we check them now and again. We'll strip the engines down and check they are as they should be. So we trust the riders to do their job. We also trust manufacturers, silencers, dirt deflectors, tires. We trust the manufacturers to do their job and respect homologation process. You know, do we ever cut any, you know, do we cut everybody's silencer in half and check they're correct every event? No, we don't. So if somebody had a silencer that was wrong, for example, that a new silencer came out, let's say Akrapovic, who are the biggest in the world, they came out with something now and it proved halfway through the season not to be correct, then you'd have the same conversation. I try and respect the situation, but all we can do, I say we as FIM, is respect that the companies respect the homologation and their products as they should be. Of course, the FIM do spot checks during the season on silencers, on all products that's homologated. We've been testing every coil this year for the rev limiter. Throughout the Grand Prix, every riders have been tested, but of course we can't do everyone. So this is the thing. It's a tough call. I understand people like yourself will bring that question up, but until we did a spot check and realized they weren't correct, and as far as we're concerned, the company respected homologation, which obviously they didn't.
Right. So the guy from Analyst was saying that it was down to the testing that was the thing that was wrong, because when they were testing it, it was coming out within regulations. And so
again, you know, perhaps ask for Analyst to ask what testing procedure the FIM was using, and that would have fixed that. You know, when they had the tyre homologated three years ago, that was the testing procedure that was done 3 years ago, and it's not changed. So obviously the tyre passed 3 years ago, and when we did the tests we did, which was more than one, more than two, we did quite a few. I understand Analysts' disappointment to the situation, but from the FIM, we have to do our job from our side and say these are the rules that we use. If a tyre manufacturer, you know, for me, maybe he should have asked what the process is. That would have been a better idea if you're coming into the sport. But again, I could also understand from Analyst's point of view, they have using a different testing procedure, but that wasn't the same. And it is tough.
So another question that I thought was a valid question is, what the sure hardness of the tyre, why is that set at where it's at with the Mitas tyre? Is it a safety thing? Because like in the Grand Prix, it's very different to racing, you know, in the British League where you're on one tyre for the whole meeting. You know, those boys are racing one race. If the softer tyre is making better racing, is it not beneficial to go softer, have that softer tyre? Or
of course, this is down to, I know the manufacturers 2 years ago had a meeting and every manufacturer was asked, are you happy with the current rules and the current set of regulations? Everyone said yes. So from the FIM's point, why would we change it when all manufacturers are happy with it? So that's the simple answer to that. You know, you have something that's worked for 20, 30 years. If all the manufacturers are happy to carry on with that process, of course, there's questions to be asked. Could you have a softer tyre? Could you have a harder tyre? Like in other sports. But at the moment, that is where the FIM standpoint is.
Yeah, okay. That's fair enough. And that's something that we said, wasn't it, Wilbur, before about having and Chris Holder pulled me up on it and went, no, that's rubbish. You just want to have the softest tire going. But we were saying that you could have it so maybe you start on a harder tire, or you could pick from your 5 rides. You can have 5 tires, and maybe 2 were going to be soft and 3 were going to be the harder tire. It adds an extra element of things that you can sort of leverage on, if that makes sense. But yeah, Chris just turned around and went, no, you're an idiot, and the softer tire would be it'd always be the softer one. But
I would think so. There's got to be other. 10.
Yeah, I think it'd be like with Formula One, where they schedule all their tires and things like that, and it's more than just the racing as well. Then it's the planning of it. I think that could make Speedway a little bit more interesting if there was something like that, and maybe the tires aren't that thing, but it's there's got to be something out there like that.
I obviously think it's a big story that happened at a bad time. We spoke offline before we came on. Christoph Kasperzak used them at Croatia in the challenge. Nobody questioned this. Robert Lambert used them in European. Nobody questioned it. Anders Thompson as a rider was going very good all year on Anders tyres, and it was a shame that it got brought up at the wrong time, and it would sort of it just made a bit of a bad story. But totally, it's the same as any job. You guys, you buy a car, it has to be under certain emissions to pass the test. You trust them. People trusted VW to do their cars to be X, and then eventually they found out they didn't pass what they needed to pass, and they removed it. So this is just something that happens in all life, not just sport, I think.
We've got a question here from Sean Reed saying, was there a protest by the riders after the Wrocław Grand Prix?
No, 0 protest. We explained to riders the situation. If they wanted a protest, we was all ready to accept the protest. And to be fair, we were expecting one from the riders, but nothing came. So there was no official protest. So the only reason it was found out was by FIM spot checks, not by a protest.
Okay.
And of course, as soon as there's no protest on an event, half an hour after the event is finished, then the result is declared. So.
Right. So even after you've done the podium, half an hour after that event, you could then turn around and find something wrong with the bike or something like that, and then that score then wouldn't count. Okay.
So half an hour after the podium, someone could get the gold medal, and then 20 minutes later there could be an issue or a problem, and that could get stripped down the line.
Okay. Wilbur, ask some questions quickly while I'm reading these.
Yeah, let's go past tires, I think.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's fine.
I mean, for what it is like for us, I mean, when we race over here and in the bigger races, it's just 30 minutes after the last heat, someone can put up a protest, and I think it's $200 or $300 American dollars, and if you put up that protest, they'll strip down your engine. And if your engine is legal, you get the money, but if the engine is not legal, it goes to the federation, I think it is, or something like that. And I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, it's the same with us. We regularly check engines at the Grand Prix. We've got a system which is like an oil system. We don't really have to strip it out. We just take the rocker cover off, the small part, put some oil in the engine, and it gives us a read. And we can do 3 engines in like 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And get an answer. And then you can race it the next day. It's oil drains out. So it's quite a good system in the sense of you don't have to take the head off and do lots of work. So we do them randomly, probably every other meeting. We do 3 or 4 engines. But this day, I don't think in 6 years I haven't had a protest in 6 years or a protest on an engine or anything. But we do regular checks without any issues anyway.
I see.
There's a guy here who's just put a question up. It's quite a long one, but it doesn't look like he's very happy about the Speedway of Nations. But he did say, could it not have been potentially moved to another venue where the weather may have been better and have a 2-day meeting like it should have been? What?
No, it's not as easy to move things. It can be done, and it has been done in the past. But you have lots of agreements between federations, between promoters, between cities. It's not, and of course, it's easy. Many people, I'm sure, say, "Oh, Manchester weather was fine this week."
Yeah, but you wasn't doing that.
This, and again, people said you could have run the event on a Sunday because the weather forecast looked good on the Sunday. But when I left at midday on Sunday, it was raining. So, these forecasts, and that's what happened for us. They changed so much. On Friday, we all thought everything was good. The rain was going to come 9, 10 o'clock, but it came at 6. It completely changed. And then on the Saturday, we was expecting rain all day, and then it stopped and didn't happen. So it's easy to look in hindsight. You've got to make a decision. And I always think of like there's 5 types of track. You've got like an excellent track, you've got a good track, you've got an average track, you've got a below average track, or a dangerous track. I would have put that as below average, in my opinion, what we raced on. It wasn't good, it wasn't perfect. But of course, we had light rain all the way through the event. Not heavy, but just a little bit that just built up and built up. And it was tough. There was no right, no wrong answer. You can't look in a crystal ball and see what's going to happen. You just have to do what you think best. And if I think it's getting not as good or bad, the FIM, as they felt it was deteriorating as the night went on. And we made the decision. If it had stayed, believe it or not, like it was in the first 4 or 5 heats, like that all night, there would have been no problem. But that rain, and obviously the way the riders started riding towards the dirt because they became more confident, it has caused more problems and a few accidents. And we just did what we felt was right with the situation. And again, nobody's got that crystal ball.
Yeah. So we're going to change the subject from that again, and we're going to go to this question here. What was the decision for the top 6 qualifiers for this year, and rather than the top 8, even though the top 8 still qualified with the wildcards?
Thinking was similar to the points plus the 6 was, if you look back last year, the year before, a lot of the interviews became, it's just about scoring points. Doesn't matter if we win Grand Prix, as long as we get our 10 points, that's all we're worried about. And of course, a lot of people would also say, well, my goal is to get top 8. That's the sort of what I want to do. So we just wanted to make it a bit more where people actually, their desire was to win Grand Prix and their desire was to finish, in a higher positions rather than settling in a sense.
But then they came 8th and still got through anyway.
Of course, but very difficult to get a perfect answer because, of course, the top 9 this year was sort of head and shoulders above the others, in reality. Yeah. And it was almost a no-brainer that the top 9 would stay in.
Yeah.
But
so we actually had this chat the other day on the show, and we were saying about, I think someone brought up in the comments about Matty Zagar saying that he went through the Grand Prix Challenge and qualified for 2021 before the actual season even started, and obviously that's not the norm that happens. But we were saying about having the Grand Prix Challenge should be after the Grand Prix Series. So, for instance, if you do have the top 6 that go through, anyone that is in the Grand Prix should be able to go into that meeting afterwards, plus the ones that have qualified from the pre-qualifying events for the challenge. So then, not only then the challenge is then a much higher stakes on that meeting, if that makes sense. And I think more people would watch it then as well. The Grand Prix Challenge, that is,
exactly what you said on paper, I agree with, and we would do it.
Right.
Problem we have, if you want to do it after the Grand Prix, let's say the Grand Prix challenge was Lublin last weekend.
Yeah.
This is where you have your problem with that, you know. If we had it's so tough because, you know, the amount of people that say, it's crazy running meetings in the middle of October. Then you'll have 20 people saying, why don't you put the Grand Prix challenge after Torrent? So, you know, you're trying to balance things and make it right.
It's not ideal.
So,
it's just you, and then you run into more controversy after that because it's like, well, they only completed this so many amount of heats, and then that person shouldn't be getting that because no matter what you're gonna say, you're gonna be in the wrong. So you know what? Right now, I think if the rider, in my opinion, the riders who are in the GP should not be able to qualify for the GP challenge. The GP challenge, if you feel like you want to get in the GP challenge, or if you feel like you're not going to make it, you qualify for the next year. Like you go into the qualifying series the next year. It just shouldn't be allowed because you open up more doors for more riders, and especially coming as an American, you see more riders coming over from over here and Australia. It opens up more doors, but that way. But if you have those riders that are like, just do the GP qualifying, you know, this year, and it's an easy meeting and this and that, like, come on, try harder.
I do agree with what Wilbur says, but at the same time, you end up then saying, for instance, the top 6 go through to next year's Grand Prix. You then have got from 7th position to 15, where those riders, you know, they are still in the top 15 in the world, right?
Yeah.
Now, to not have them even go into the Grand Prix for the following season or have a chance to go back into the Grand Prix because they didn't get in the top 6 means that you're bringing in lesser riders to replace the ones that may not be the top 6, but they're definitely not 16th in the world.
There is no easy answer. You used Matty Jaga as an example. Guys qualified from the challenge for the last 2 years, showing that he's better than the guys below him. So if you're looking for the best riders in the world, as we have now, but I also totally respect, you know, maybe getting some new blood in each year to make it a little bit fresher. I can see that point from a lot of people. And as Wilbur said, to give other countries more of a chance, because I hear you talking about the European Championship. And you know, this is something I totally get, that people outside Europe don't have that one option for that one place. You know, and I've even thought of, why don't you have a rest of the World Series? That 1 year is in America, the next year it's in New Zealand, the next year it's in Australia, the next year, you know, it's in South America, and give the boys a chance. If they want to travel, you know, if an American wants to travel to Australia, maybe that's an option to leave one place open, because I totally get, this is going back if people wasn't listening, when you said it's unfair that the European has an opportunity to win his European Championship and get into the Grand Prix, where if you're outside Europe, that one place is not available to you. I totally get that as well.
Yeah, for sure. Because there used to be, is it the Intercontinental Championship? That was
long time
ago. 1 year ago, wasn't it? Yeah, a long time ago.
They all went to a final at the end where they all mixed in together. So you know, these are the things that obviously can be talked about. I totally respect. But honestly, from, you know, with there's 4 people that make decisions at Grand Prix in the commission. I'm just one of the 4. In my opinion, I always want the 15 best guys in the world. Doesn't matter what nationality they are. That's my sort of goal. Everyone's got different ideas, you know, and that's the way it is. And again, you look at, I was only talking to someone the other day about riders having different opportunities, and someone like Mikkel Mikkelsen this year he could have finished in the top 6 of the Grand Prix, could have finished in the top 3 of the challenge, he could have finished first in the European Championship. So he had 3 options to make next year's Grand Prix, where some riders won't even have one. I get it, you know, I get the fact it's tough, and there's no real right answer, but we want to listen to everybody and take everyone's feedback. But as you can imagine, guys, everyone's feedback is different. You'll have one person saying something, the other person saying something else.
Yeah, and it's like Will was saying, you know, what he just said a minute ago. It has valid points, but then there's also, you know, it is about having the top 16 riders in the world on track at one time, isn't it? You know?
Well, Brock Nickel was in the challenge. He was good enough to make the top 3. He'd be in the Grand Prix. Or even, you look, the 4th place guy, Loktayev, we gave him first reserve. Same as last year with Smolinski, we gave him the first reserve. So we do respect the guys that get close as well. So if you can get top 4 or 5 in the challenge, there's a chance you're going to be there or thereabouts as well. Yeah. So we do try.
How unlucky was Smolinski? I can't even say his name. Smolinski. Not even getting to ride, even after he ended up as a permanent rider in the Grand Prix, and then didn't get to ride because of an injury that happened before the season started, and then didn't get a wild card. I thought that was pretty tough on the poor fella.
Of course, he was first reserve last year, and obviously Wilbur's dad unfortunately couldn't come back, so that pushed him into and then obviously he got injured. And again, what happens in them 4 walls with 4 people is not for me to discuss here. Obviously his name was discussed, and I'm sure if you look at the reserve list, apart from the first reserve, the rest were taken from the World Under-21. So we're sort of trying to give the Under-21 guys just some hope, because maybe the 4th, 5th or 6th reserve, they may never get a race, but I'm sure Wilbur will agree with this. If I had to call him and say, will you be 5th reserve for the Grand Prix, he's going to be buzzing. And just to have that on your CV and be involved and being able to see your name there in the lights, we're trying to give something to the youth as well.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, we've been, I think the last couple episodes, we were speaking about the youth, and we're talking about different ideas now. Now, me being a 250 rider, we have the 250 World Championships and stuff like that. But I think what would be interesting is maybe introducing the 250 riders to, being under the lights, how it is being at the championship rounds, the World Championship rounds, and the Speedway SGP Academy. That was a great help. That was, I got to ride under like Friends Arena and stuff like that in Sweden there. And that was such an amazing experience. But what if there's an opportunity to maybe do something on either the Friday night before the race or during the race somehow on the Saturday to involve the 250 riders and maybe run their own separate meeting and have like maybe 6 out of the or whatever it is, 6 out of the 12 rounds out of the year, you have the 250 guys there.
Yeah, we've spoke about this. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't happen during the event, but the night before, Friday night, this is more than been discussed. And I think you'll find, again, I don't really want to go into it too much, but not next year, but the year after, Discovery Eurosport have bought the rights, not just for the Grand Prix, but for the World Under-21, 250, pretty much everything. So then they may look to do something as a race weekend that might involve, whether it's an Under-21 or 250 or SGP2, however you want to do it, something a little bit different potentially.
That's a good idea. I think involving the youth is the best way to expand the sport more, in my opinion.
Yeah, of course. And as you said, the academies that were done, I know by speaking to some of the riders that have done it, it's something you'll never forget. I know that.
Exactly.
And some of the guys you see, that they're so happy just to, whether it's Cardiff, whether it was Stockholm, whether it was Horsens, the places we did it, that, I can imagine for a young teenager, wow, the eyes are open. It's like, wow, just the experience to be there and see how it all works.
Yeah, and then some of the riders there had never even been to a GP before. Their first GP, they got to go, then they got to ride on the track, and they, they got their little. You showed up at the gate, and you're like, this is me, and I'm this guy, and you get your own little, thing that all the other riders get, a pack, and you get all your passes in there. You get a VIP play. It's just it was an awesome experience, and that is something that once this whole COVID thing is over, we can bring that back, because that was a really good help for me.
Yeah, like you say, just getting some of them small, just picking up your passes. I'm Wilbur Hancock, and they give you a pass with your name on. You give it to your mechanics. It's all part of the game that's normal to the Grand Prix riders.
Exactly.
But the youngsters, and to see them walking through the pits and like, wow, and they're just in awe of it because, of course, as you know, it's a long way to get to that level. It's a long way, but to see how it works, obviously you're very lucky. You've been around your dad and you've seen it.
Very
But for
fortunate.
most youngsters, they don't get to see what happens, and they're like a rabbit in the headlights a bit. They're like, "Wow, how does this go? Look at the difference." Good for them to see how far they have to go.
And it's a little bit of a carrot there because it's a lot of riders that just go, "There's no way I'm going to make it to that level." And if they get that little chance, they're like, "Holy, I think I can do this, or I want to do this," and it triggers them to see walking out on the track and doing a track walk with Ollie Allen and Kelvin Tatum and even my dad being there. For me, it was awesome, and walking out there and you get to see the World Championship trophy just sitting there, your hands start to shake and you get a little nervous, and it was just awesome. I loved it.
And it's funny because I'm there watching. Obviously, I can see you guys going around, but I'm taking note of what the track's doing. Of course, your engines are not as strong and they're not damaging the track as much. But for me, I'm looking at that as a different way. But I'm sort of thinking, just checking things are okay from that side.
Exactly. So, I mean, it benefited a lot of people in a lot of ways. And I think hopefully next year, if it all opens up a little better, that's something we can look into the future. And I think my dad would also be something he wants to, work into and help the youth, of course. Jerry, you got anything?
I just went through all the questions, and Lemo was supposed to be on here at some point, but he's not come on just yet. So we're waiting on him. But yeah, so how are you guys happy with how the Grand Prix series went in the end, Phil?
Yeah, I think you've got to be happy considering the situation, and again, probably the timing of things. If you look at what's happening in Poland now, everything's gone red, no fans, they're stopping sporting events. So I think we've done quite well to find the window that everything worked. And I think from my side, I just picked up an email earlier on today saying that somebody does some statistics on the amount of passes after the first bend. And at the Grand Prix, we average 31 per event. So you're looking at sort of, 1.6, 1.7 passes per race. And I got the figures here. Roslav was 39 and 50, very good. Gorzhov was 22 and 22. Prague, day one, was only 14 passes, which was disappointing. The second day was 23, a little bit better. And then Torun was 38 and 40. So over the season, we had an average of 31. And I've got to be pleased for that, because when I look at statistics for the Polish Extra League, the average per meeting there is only 11. Of course, there's only 15 races. I respect that, and we have 23. And it's a team event, not individual. So I'm very, pleased that like Roslav, for example, they have 10 passes per Elite League event, Extra League event, and we managed to have 39 and 50. So people will say it might help having all the best riders, but also people can say it's sometimes better if you have different classes, because if a junior jumps out in front, it's easier for the top guys to pass. So from that side, apart from potentially the first round in Prague, which I know was quite disappointing, I respect that. We made it a little bit better the next day. I think in general, I was reasonably happy from our side that everything went reasonably well. And it came down to the last few races in Torun, which was good.
Yeah. And can you confirm or deny? Has the FIM been speaking about doing a double-header event at all? Is that something that could come in?
If pandemic is gone, I would say no, but you never know. You don't know what's around the corner. It's good that we've done it. If we ever have any kind of, it may not be COVID, it may be something else. There's always things around the corner with different viruses or restrictions of movement. Yeah, so we've done it now, and we've got an option of doing something that's a little bit different. But yeah, I feel it worked having two events on one weekend.
Okay, cool. I'm just going to check. Will we keep the conversation going? I'm just going to check how many shares we've got.
Well, I think next year, if we all run a smooth season next year, the qualifying that we had in 2019, and we didn't have only 2019.
Yeah,
we ran the qualifying.
year.
Yeah, that's something we could also look into, and you could advance that a little more and make it more of a live stream. So people do get some Speedway on the Friday as well, because a lot of people did enjoy having 2 races, but it's a lot of work from behind the scenes. So maybe the qualifying could be switched up a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think, that's something we're talking about at the moment. Even just to put it online, people to just, like they've done this monster show, it's an online platform. Potentially there's a chance we could do something to, like you say, to give something back.
What do you think
of that
monster show? Any good?
I've got a quick look in and out, and it's good that they talk about some different things. Probably the bike stuff is good for fans that don't know about sport. I think it's good to be live at the track and speak to some of the riders and get their opinions on tracks and things, because people don't get to see that sometimes. They just get to see, okay, riders pushing off, racing, some track grading, racing, final, close the door. So it's sometimes good to see a little bit more, maybe behind the scenes, and what riders, what mechanics do potentially. Yeah, I think it's a good thing for the fans, a little different maybe.
For sure.
Cool.
I agree on that.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna have a quick shout out here to give me 1 second. Here we go.
Who's a shout out for?
Is it not working here?
I don't know.
It's not working. Give me 1 second. It's I'm trying to share my screen here.
Anyway, congrats on the #1 national plates, Wilbur, by the way.
Thank you.
2.
Yeah, I was
2 #1s, yeah.
Yeah.
2 #1s. Yeah, I got 2 #1s, and then I have another one that I'm trying to get work for. Oh, Mark Lemon's on.
We have got Mark Lemon. He's just turned up. He said he'll be on about 2022, quarter 2.
Yeah. So for me, it's I got 2 here now, and I'm working for a third one on November 14th. So, and that's what I'm trying to get on here. Let me see here.
And you're not flipping the bike no more? I seen the one picture.
Yeah,
maybe a few years ago.
I try not to. Okay, so Extreme Speedway Action has started to do their own live streaming and pay-per-view races. It's going to be $15 American dollars. I don't know the exact to British pounds.
It's about £12.
About 12 pounds, and you get about 3 hours worth of racing from all divisions and all classes from American Speedway. You have some of the best in the USA, and also some of the youngsters growing up. It's going to be great racing, and we have some really cool ideas for the future, including the American Final, which is the Grand Prix qualifying to get into the GP Challenge, which is in the end of December. So I highly recommend everyone tunes in and watch that. ExtremeSpeedwayAction.com, XSRA.tv. So that's that. Thank you.
There we go. So while we're talking about these meetings, we also, I had Scott Courtney message me earlier today saying, can we give them a shout out? Because tomorrow they've got the under-21s British final at Berwick, and you can live stream their meeting, and it's done on donations. So you don't actually need to pay. Well, you pay what you feel that they deserve. Obviously, this is to help back British Speedway and British riders. So if you can back them in any way you can at all, it's tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Get on there, watch and support the boys. It's all going, to support British Speedway, and I think we all need to help.
Hey, while we're on shout outs, my girls have asked me to give them a little shout out. I mean, they watch it downstairs on the TV. So my daughters, Ruby and Rosie, make sure you're listening, and my wife as well, because she'll probably be doing the ironing or something. So my wife, Katie, and my daughters, there's a little hi for them.
Everyone wants a shout out right now.
Yeah, it's all shout outs.
And then my friend Chris back home here. I need to give him a shout out as well.
I'm Bob, the dog.
Yeah,
Yeah. My goldfish inside.
Yeah. So Phil, I think we'll let you shoot off now. It's been amazing. It was really good to have insight and your side of the story. You know, we see what happens on TV, but we don't actually normally hear from the FIM's point of view. And it's been very, very interesting. So thanks very much. And then let's, when there's more info that you're allowed to let on to us, you're always welcome. So
no problem.
And we'll get you back on.
Cheers for having me, Jerry and Will, and have a good
one.
Rest of your season, and we'll speak soon.
For sure.
You're right.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. There we go. So we're going to now run over because Mr. Mark Lemon took a little while. So do you want to introduce him, Wilbur?
Yes, the Bellevue team manager and the Australian team manager, Mark Lemon.
Here he is.
G'day, guys. How are we? Very well, thanks.
Good. Should we bring the Sydney Lip in as well, because he wants to come in and
I've missed him.
As well.
I've missed him. Yeah.
Here he is. Here's Chelsea. So Phil's still in the background, so don't slack about what happened at the weekend.
You're still the number one boss man, Lemo. Number one, buddy.
Yeah, maybe in Australia, but not in the world.
Yeah.
I saw one of your Facebook posts the other day, and I saw Steve Evans commented on it, and they said we were enjoying a sunny Sunday afternoon while you were having a little bit of a rough Sunday there.
Yeah, I think he said he was down the beach enjoying himself. He certainly were a long way away from the beach in some very inclement weather conditions. But look, the World Cup, that was fantastic. It's always Speedway Nations, it's known as now, but virtually the world teams get together, and it was a very challenging weekend. But it's always an exciting time of the year, whether it's in October or it's in the middle of the season or wherever it is. But when the boys get together, all the federations, as one, it's always a lot of anxiety in the camp and a lot of tension about. But obviously we didn't get the result we wanted.
Lemo, if I may, I was on at the start of the show, mate, and listen, for me, I don't mind a bit of controversy, and I think you say it how it was, mate. I wasn't surprised. Like we've got a little bit of a Speedway chat show group chat going, and when you put Jamin Lindsay in instead of Doyley against the Polecats, I've still got it on my phone. I said this is either going to be a wonder stroke or a complete backfire. What was your thought process? Were you under the assumption that you're going to have your two big guns against weaker under 21s in the last couple of rounds, mate, and that was going to go to the 21 heats like we're being told on the live coverage?
Yeah, so at no point were we really made aware that it was going to stop at heat 14. And I actually asked questions before we made that move. And like the conditions, didn't really deteriorate that bad, So, it's like, as far as I was concerned, we were going through the heat 21. So I played Jamin, and Jamin's confidence has been outstanding this year, and his performance has been great. But when those inclement weathers came in, and the track was, it wasn't the best, the track. I mean, we all see Pole in the extra league and as the mecca of Speedway. Yeah. But, I miss Phil, obviously just dashed off, but
he's still listening.
We had a lot of conversations, and it was very fluid. It was very cooperative. It was cohesiveness, and then we had all the teams working to try and get this meeting on. And we knew it wasn't great, but we got the result. And due to Phil, in those situations, the riders don't want to be there. They want to be on the beach with Steve Evans. So they, he got them all the guys together, and we went out and did some practicing, and the track was fine. Everyone come back. Yeah, sweet, let's crack on. So yeah, it was challenging, I'm sure, but when the decision was made, the rain had stopped, and if the track had the correct facilities, equipment-wise, and the personnel to manage these situations, we would have easily, had no reason to call this meeting off. And that's what's the frustrating thing is, like, they rushed it through and didn't even stop to try and prepare the track. So we just assumed it was going through to the end. So yeah, master stroke or not, I unfortunately I put Jamie as a sacrificial lamb against Poland. I still felt he probably get the better of Wozniak because he's been pretty good. Gate 1 wasn't ideal, but then that would leave us coming strong towards the end to get the confidence going to challenge goal. And as the draw panned out, we knew Gate 1 wasn't great, so we would have had challenging times even against the Czech Republic and Team GB off Gate 1.
Look, Lemo, you know me about the Australian World Cup team. I've had the pleasure with hanging out with you with the boys at the World Cup, and I get behind the
Lemo,
boys.
was it as much of a pleasure for you?
Yeah, of course.
Oh God.
I looked after Emma.
You travelled out there, yeah, you did too. So. Yeah,
right, let's
they
carry on talking about the Speedway of Nations. Let's move on to the reason why Lemo's here.
To the big event of the year.
Anyway, well done, Lemo. In my eyes, you're world champions, buddy. You made the move that no one else did, son.
Yeah, well, it obviously backfired clearly. But anyway, we went to know. So hindsight's wonderful, isn't it?
So, Lemo, you've got a big meeting coming up on Thursday. You're doing another live stream. And yeah, do you want to tell us, everybody, a little bit about it? And we will look at this. I might even put you full screen.
Ooh.
Look at that. Tell us a little
bit
bit about what's happening on Thursday. Who's riding? You've just made a big announcement. If people haven't already seen for the lineup this evening, go for it.
We have. Well, we've obviously been part of the promotion now for the last 4 years, and we want to start off the prestigious event, the Peter Craven Memorial, and give the event that the great man deserves, and we give him all the respects and remembrance to. So we've carrying that tradition. We were supposed to start off the very first meeting of the season for us. I think it was back on March the 21st, and within a couple of days, this COVID virus struck us, and we all got shut down and put us in the situation we're in now. But we've rallied at Bellevue, and we've now done. This is going to be our 4th meeting behind closed doors. It's very challenging. It's a very difficult one financially to fund. We haven't really wanted to shortchange the riders, so we've left the prize money pretty near it as it would normally. So hence, I guess that's why we've got a really good lineup. And this is going to be the showdown for the year, the grand finale. And there's going to be something slightly different than we would normally do with the Peter Craven. We're going to have a 6-man final. So it's going to be a 20-heat format, 16 of the best riders that we can get. And we have Jason Crump, Richard Lawson, Steve Worrell, Richie Worrell, Bomber Harris, Rory Schlein, Brady Kurtz, Jai Etheridge, Troy Batchelor, Kyle Howarth, Lewis Kerr, Sam Masters,
Wilbur Hancock.
Yeah. Well, Wilbur, you ready? And Dan Bewley, and we've obviously just drawn in today Jason Doyle, the 2017 world champion. So he's coming in to try and defend his championship of the Peter Craven. He's won it the last 2 years, and no one's ever won it 3 years in a row. So it's going to be pretty exciting to see if he can do that.
6-man final, the best thing I've heard this year, Lemo.
Yeah, well, Jason Doyle's been pretty good. It's winning the 6-man finals in the Czech Republic with the golden helmet. That prestigious event out there. So we want this event to be up there with those likes of those events, and be a showcase for British Speedway, and especially in Manchester. So we're thrilled to be running this meeting. It's like I said, it's been very difficult to organise, and obviously we're looking at restrictions getting enforced on Friday. So we've stuck this one in on Thursday. So this is great for us. But 6-man final around the National Speedway Stadium. That's what it's designed for, right?
Lemo, can you just ask Doyley to take the Jason Crump advice from 2012 and just wait till tapes go up before he lets the clutch go moving forward?
Yeah, he was going, wasn't he? He managed to take the whole shebang. He took it. The tapes were wrapped up, pigs off. Ronnie Mack style.
How was it when he come back in?
Well, I put Jamie out in the next race, so it took a little while to calm him down.
I bet he was really polite, wasn't he?
Yeah. To be quite honest, like he's really been working hard on his game, and he's come a long way. And I guess he doesn't quite know why he goes. And I did hear you guys talking about the anticipation and how other formulas stay still at the start line. But I think what you forgot to mention, those little fairy sports have brakes. These boys don't have brakes. They're manually trying to hold these 85 horsepower engines back. It's not so easy when the chains are rattling and the clutch might have a bit of drag. It's not so simple. So if they had brakes
and launch control, Phil, Lemo, they got launch
control.
Control.
What about Smarslick's arm in the first heat?
That's technique. I do not care. That's technique. Okay. If you can do that, good on you. All right. That's technique.
Hook, line, and sinker.
That's something magic stuff right there. I mean, come on. Yeah. You got to hand it to him.
It was on the wrong arm as well. It wasn't even his throttle arm.
I don't care if you're all Brits, all right? Smarslick, that was a sick technique.
He was trying to get it on the KFC being a third chicken wing.
Yeah. You seen my dad do the chicken wing?
Yeah, throttle snapper.
Yes.
Right.
How can we watch it, Mark?
So we've only got 19 people share the video so far. So by tomorrow morning, yeah, 1 in 19 chance at the moment. So if you share this video, make sure it's public so that we can see that
share
you
it now.
And you'll be in for a chance to win. And then tomorrow morning at I don't know, when I get into my office at say 10 in the morning, I'll pick a winner randomly, 2 winners, because we've got two access passes from you, Lemo. Is that right?
Yeah. That's right. Yep.
So
John's like, what, give away, and I haven't got one.
No, Jerry. Sorry, did you say when you get into your office at 10? What time do you get out of bed?
I've got a meeting at 9.
But your office is in your garage, and you live at your house.
No, I've got a different office now.
Oh, okay, Jerry.
And I don't work from in here. This is here just for the Speedway Chat Show.
Sorry, Jerry. Sorry, I was being funny again. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. It wasn't funny.
Have I got a link, Lemo?
So anyway, 19 shares. Get sharing, and we'll give away some access things tomorrow. Also, Lemo, was there any feedback on the idea that we spoke about earlier?
No.
Are we allowed to go ahead with what we said earlier?
I didn't actually. The conversation didn't get had. I've been busy on the phone, in all fairness, Joe. So I'll have to follow that one up tomorrow.
Okay, so we'll tell you what the idea is.
Because if we can't do it, we look like fools.
But also, if we can't do it, and then somebody else goes and does it later on, they'll turn around and go, "Oh, this is our original idea." Like the original chat shows.
Hey, there's only one chat show.
Technically, if you pay for it and you do it yourselves, but no one can stop you, right?
Yeah.
Did you say pay?
That's the difference. We're cheap.
Yes, pay. Yes. Pay.
We are cheap.
Subscribe.
Yeah. Our budget doesn't quite stretch that far.
Hey, Phil Morris reckons he only works an hour at a Grand Prix, so that puts him as one of the highest paid athletes in sports history, doesn't it? Maybe he can buy it for us.
He's not finding it anywhere near as funny as you are.
He's not, is
he? So should we tell them what we're going to do on Thursday then? We're gonna wait for Lemo to give us a nod tomorrow.
Lemo gives us the okay, Jezza, I reckon, bud.
And how are we going to tell everybody?
Everyone just stay tuned.
Get more interaction now.
Yeah.
Hang on.
I mean, well,
I haven't missed anything I've paid anyways.
Yeah, I mean, how do you guys find that we have the Sports Central guys that have done our 2 meetings now. Like obviously we inherited the British final due to the unfortunate weather down at Ipswich, and we sort of had the first meeting, and that was really our first go at the live streaming as such. And then we got better. The guys got better and we felt that the British final was a little bit more easier to do, and we felt it flowed somewhat better, and we've learned a lot more. But yeah, I'd really be interested to see what your guys' feedback is on that live stream.
A lot of the feedback was they should have Childsy in the pits doing the interviews, Lemo, but you didn't hear it from me.
Sorry, the phone just broke down.
Yeah. No, I think it's the very first step of getting more engagement for online. I think there's a long way to go. I think it needs to be very separate from what we see on TV. Is very different to what can be achieved for the budget for the live events, the Facebook lives and things like that. So I think it needs to feel very different. Because you're just not going to be able to replicate what Sky and BT Sports do when they've got the big trucks and they've got a truck just for titles and things like that. We're just not going to do that. I think there's other ways you can make it feel a little bit more raw, and the way Speedway is, and it doesn't have to be that polished TV show. Like for instance, the Talking Dirt show. With the green screen studio, that could just be set in a normal studio somewhere else that with Speedway stuff in the background. I don't feel that brought anything different to the show, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like when me and Charlesy did the live show, we tried to get like roaming cameras and walking around having interviews with the riders and things like that, but it wasn't done in a TV like with a presenter off camera sticking a microphone in front of a rider's face sort of thing. It was sort of like, we're mates, what's happening, and that feel comes across very differently, and then it establishes that what's live for Facebook and what's live for TV is very different then, is my opinion.
Just take notes down.
The coverage.
Just write this one down if you can. He's a good fella, this bloke. Write that one down.
Who? You?
No, look at that. Can you see the comment?
No.
Oh, it says live stream was great. Definitely get Charles in the pits. That's all it says.
Yeah.
Or chase the ace. Actually, I'd say chase the ace.
Yeah, I'll do whatever it takes, Lemo.
But no, I think that the
what do we
coverage
make
of the
it,
racing was good. I
Yeah.
think the coverage of the racing was good. It's the other bits I think is where
the add-ons we're going to work on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Better,
Okay.
yeah.
That's good. Yeah, no,
and it wasn't bad. It definitely wasn't bad. It just I think could offer more.
Okay. I mean, we're never going to be BT Sport or Eurosport kind of like standards, and we've got to understand that. But we're sort of embracing the technology that we have. We're getting it out there to the public. Otherwise, there would be no sport in the UK.
If we never did anything, we're never going to get anywhere. It's all about trial and error, isn't it? And you try it, it works, and then and we change it to make it work in the long run.
This one, this one is good. This Mark, and this is serious. We got a massive amount of great feedback. Plymouth's a lot smaller to Bellevue, granted, mate, but we got a really good feedback from our broadcast on how the bike sounded as if they were there. You've got a big problem at Bellevue, given the size of the place and where the cameras are picking up the microphones.
Not really, but yeah.
But it can be done, can't it?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe a microphone down on bend 3 and 4 to feed into the coverage. I think that's maybe where Teresa Carmen's going with her comment there, that they want to hear the bikes a bit more.
Okay, yeah. There you go. We're living and learning, so we'll take note.
And we're here to help you.
Yeah, it sounds that way. Yes, I love that criticism. Yeah,
we did get you on to promote your event, so it's not like we're.
Yeah, no. I'm going to be watching. I can't wait to receive the link.
www.Sport Central TV. So
Can
I'll
I
let you go into our Bellevue website. So, we should probably bring the handicaps back, shouldn't we?
Yeah. The good old days, Lemo, Australian handicap race.
Where did you start, from the tapes, or did you manage to get off the 15 yard or something?
No, I actually went plus 20 meters.
We still.
I was watching some footage that Boise put up of the 1 lap dashes at Gosford and all that. Geez, it brings back some times, doesn't it? But mate, listen, if we get the go ahead to do what we hope we can do, obviously that might bring some more viewers. But again, mate, all the best. There was a question there. If Doyley's in, who's out?
Jamin Lindsay's can't make it. He's trying to get home. Obviously, he's got a new son that down under, and he's trying to do everything he can to get back. He's had a great season, and I think it's time he's got one foot on the plane already. So when it was going to be tough for him, so I was just like, no, don't worry about it. And we've got pretty adequate replacement, I think, in a world champion. So and it's funny because when the conversation was had, I was actually with Jason. He's like, I'll do it. So I was like, no problem. So yeah, it's great to have Jason down there. And like I said, when you look at the Peter Craven Memorial Trophy, Chris Morton actually has the trophy now. He was presented it when he won his third time that he beat it. I think he won 74, 75 back to back, and then the great Peter Collins beat him, and then some years later Chris went out and won it again. So there's a lot of history on that trophy, and we want to keep that running continuously year on year now. And I think it's a real feather in our cap to be able to do it in these sort of times. So we do need people to support it, because it's we want to get it out there and showcase a great event.
If we don't support it, there's not going to be much Speedway left. So I think that's it's down to the fans to help. We've done everything we can. You've done everything you can. It is down to the fans now.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Okay, so we've run over by 15 minutes, so I think we'll wrap it up. There will be hopefully an announcement tomorrow. There will be an announcement. Is that you?
There I am at CrossFit, Lemo.
You're so bad.
Where's the leg back, man? That can't be you. It looks like Lee Adams.
Well, that's where Lee got it from.
Oh my God.
So, right. So we will announce who wins the 2 access passes tomorrow morning, and hopefully we'll hear from Lemo about this thing that we're going to try and do alongside them on Thursday as well. So we're going to love you and leave you, and thanks for coming on, Lemo.
I'm waiting for a
contract.
Nice one, Lemo.
Waiting for a contract, Wilbur.
Yeah.
No worries. It's in the post.
Sick.
Well, actually, I'll send it by email. It's much quicker these days. But yeah, no worries. We'd love to have more Americans over here racing. Obviously, we've got Brock and Luke Becker on a charge at the moment, and they're doing great. So we look forward to seeing another handcuff on the team.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would be cool.
By the way, Brock and Luke are racing this weekend. Brock and Luke are racing this weekend, so everyone needs to tune in and watch that.
Where's that?
Here at the States here. I posted the link in the chat.
Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Right, so yeah, tomorrow, Berwick under-21s British final. Thursday, Bellevue, Peter Craven meeting. Get behind Speedway I can't see there's going to be any more meetings this season. So let's get behind the ones there is, and next season, hopefully we can go back to normal and go and watch racing live.
Hey, I've even got the Australian colours on, Lemo.
I can't quite see that, but I take your word for that, Charles. I have no doubt that someone would have gave you that for free.
No, I paid for them, actually. They were Insects levers. Remember Insects?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I used to wear them.
Yeah. Nice one, Lemo. Thanks for coming on, boss man. You're world champions in my eyes anyway.
No, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
So, if you stay there, Lemo, we'll chat in a second.
Okay.
So, right. Adios, guys. Thanks very much for watching. And remember, share the video, and we will let you know who wins those access passes. Cheers.
Peace.